Hi, everybody. I was not able to gift memberships yesterday because I forgot that I have to do it on an outside page. So let me make sure I do that because every week I gift 5 memberships. Hold on, here we go. All right. There we go. Haha. Excellent. I felt bad I wasn't able to do it yesterday. Okay, there we go. Here they come. That's right, membership boop. Huzzah! All right, so thank you, Danny. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, everybody, for gifting memberships. Thank you, Dancing Dog 60. You guys set a wonderful precedent, and that's why I want to try to match the generosity of so many members of this community. I'm working on my Deadpool spoiler coverage, which will begin tomorrow. This is a spoiler-free environment. Hey, Heather, thank you very much. Thank you, Aralysis. I'm going to be very careful. If you're super, super, super nervous, you cover up the chat so you don't see it. But I'm not going to deliver any spoilers. We're just going to have a business discussion about some of the more recent developments. And I wasn't sure if I'd even have enough stuff to do live for a story, for a live stream. But I think we came up with a pretty exciting group, actually. Thanks, smart girl. This Twister's Kiss story really sealed the deal. I was like, I actually do have something to say about that. So we have a nice little stream ahead of us. Of course, I'm so glad that some of you are enjoying it. I got nervous. I'm so glad some of you are enjoying Deadpool and Wolverine. Because I've been seeing, obviously that Rotten Tomatoes score was very surprising. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But anyway, as always, we have the 3 stories of the day. And then, of course, at the very end of the stream, you can ask me anything you'd like for the final 10 minutes. And also today, we'll do some shout outs. All right, everybody, here we go. All right, story number 1. Boop. Oh, look at Deadpool. He's so shocked. I have to tell you, I find it frustrating that when the social media embargo lifts, everybody's so positive. Like, if you don't have something nice to say about the movie in your tweet, just don't tweet about it. If you don't want to tweet something negative, that's fine. But I would think it would be so frustrating to think, because it looked like it was going to be like you would think the Rotten Tomatoes score would have been in the 90s. With the way everybody reacted when they came out of the screening. But maybe it's like people who don't have big Twitter followers who are messing up the score. But it's just really bizarre to see how it actually, came into focus. Not only is it at 81 right now, but yesterday it was dipping into the 70s. It was like at 79 for a little bit, which you were just like, what? Like, why do people, I don't understand why the social media reaction always differs so wildly from the score. I'm always very honest. Sometimes I have to suffer through it. But I'm always very honest, with whenever I'm talking about a movie. I find it very bizarre. You can't have trolls with critics. This is just critics. So I just find that disjoint very bizarre. I saw the same thing happen with Captain Marvel. The Marvels. When the Marvels ended, a lot of people were tweeting that it was actually pretty good, myself included. And then, did I thank Robert? Robert, I don't believe I did. Thank you, Robert. And I'm so happy to see so many people thanking you for their membership. But yeah, it's just, I saw the same thing happen with the Marvels. And it's getting to the point where I don't really know if you can trust the initial social media reactions as for the way it's going to break. Unless you're like President Progressive and you just expect this kind of, stabbing of the back. Like, why do that, man? Like, I just don't get it. So first we're going to talk about the Rotten Tomatoes score a little bit more, and then we're going to talk about the box office predictions where they currently stand. Some very interesting information, and of course we're going to break down the actual numbers when they hit on Sunday. So to give you some perspective, the first 2 Deadpool movies are not far off from this. The first 2 Deadpool movies are around 80 something, like 85, which is where it sits. Joker has a 69% audience score. It still won Oscars and made $1 billion. So this is not like a death knell for this movie, but I think it speaks to a couple of things. First of all, I wanted to show you, let's take a look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores for all of the MCU. So I do think that you're seeing a little bit of a shift. So first off, wait a minute, this is a little too early. First off, I would say, maybe a lot of the people reviewing the film aren't comic book fans. And if you're not a comic book fan, you're maybe not going to get some of the deep cuts. That's not going to mean as much to you. And then also the film, as I said, is very inside baseball. And I think that some people who see film primarily as art, particularly I would think that would include critics, they might not like some of the office business commentary in the film. And I've seen a couple of the negative reviews talking about, it's very corporate, it's selling a product, and you're like, so what? Leo says The Fall Guy was inside baseball. It's interesting that you say that, because I think The Fall Guy was a distorted, incorrect view of Hollywood. So maybe, I think it romanticized Hollywood, and it was very critical of Hollywood, which I think maybe was why some critics were enamored with the film. I thought it was very juvenile in its commentary, whereas I think that Ryan Reynolds' industry commentary is spot on. It's incredible. And, some people, might not like some of the things that he's saying because it's just so business oriented. But again, to me, I'm like, you're talking my language, man. I love it. All right. So also, one has to wonder, the industry has been starting to be a little bit upset with the comic book genre for a while now. And I think that, DC has always had a problem with critics and audiences. But, even Marvel now has gone from forgiving to, for the industry and critics being forgiving to their movies to having their knives out, sharpened and ready to go. So that's why I wanted to look at the evolution of the Rotten Tomatoes scores for the MCU. So I also think Disney Plus has hurt the Marvel brand in more ways than one. I think it's not only exhausted the fans and made them feel they don't have to watch everything, but I think that some of the shows have been so subpar that it broke the streak of strong Rotten Tomatoes reviews, as did movies like Thor: Love and Thunder. So, Echo, obviously, sitting at 70. The Marvels, 62. Secret Invasion, pretty low. Look at Guardians of the Galaxy. That was only at 82. That was a good movie that a lot of fans, comic book and MCU fans really enjoyed, myself included. But, it's a little weak here, as you can see. I think the run of She-Hulk and Thor: Love and Thunder and Ms. Marvel and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I think that, we got a little bit of a reprieve for Spider-Man No Way Home, but Eternals, Shang-Chi is a great movie, but that is a 91, as you can see. But I think that kind of, and Black Widow, I think was one of the big early problems, there it only has, an 87? That's not, a 79. Ha ha. Yeah, that's right, 79, 87 is for Loki. 79 for Black Widow. I feel deservedly so. But Deadpool and Wolverine was at a 79 for a little bit, and that would be ridiculous for that movie to be the same par as Black Widow. But if you go back to the early days, when Marvel was at its heyday, although you can see Captain Marvel as a 79. Captain Marvel's not that bad. But anyway, you can see that, the scores were much consistently higher. Except for here and there with shows, you're in the 90s for the most part. And the shows were considered separate at that point. But, you're largely in the 90s. The 80s is the low point. The idea of a Marvel movie going into the 70s, except although you can see Age of Ultron is there. Although some of these you don't know if perhaps they dropped after the fact, because you can keep adding reviews. And then if you go very early on, you can see lots of 90s. Oh, the first Thor 2. Thor 2 was awful. That deserves its 67. That was the anomaly. But you can see so many high scores. Iron Man 3 also kind of low, but the Avengers, Captain America, first Avenger, well, the first Thor even was a 77. Look at Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is a great movie. God suck. But for the most part, it was doing better. So I just wonder what's happening in that regard. And I'm a little bit worried for the audience scores because, there's a very big anti-Disney contingent out there right now. And I do worry, that sucked a lot of the enthusiasm out of the room. Let's have a little quick discussion about what is a good audience score. A lot of you, I guess it depends on how the standard, I guess, that you held yourself to. The school that like anything like a B plus was like, anything below a B plus was considered bad. Okay? So, you usually were trying to get in the A's, and then if you got a B plus, you were like, okay. But as soon as you got like a B, it was like Panic City, So to me, I hold movies to the same standard, and so as for movies, with the Rotten Tomatoes score, yes, I agree with those of you who are saying as long as it has an 8 in front of it, I would feel good. Anything below the 80th percentile, which technically is the B range, would have me panicking as a creative. If as soon as your movie, unless it made a lot of money and won a lot of awards like Joker, then I'd be like, suck it, So that's how I would feel. So I feel like as soon as it has a 7 in front of it, it's a bad situation. Even something with a 6 in front of it to me is really bad. That's right, Mika, unless it's horror, of course. But for Rotten Tomatoes, critics and audience scores, as long as you're above 80, I feel you're in a good place. But anything that's supposed to be like a banger of a movie, that should be in the 90s. 80 and above, I would feel comfortable in that space. But once you start dropping below 80, then I get really, really nervous. That makes me, nervous. But I want to clarify, not that I never got a B or even I had a couple of C pluses. I know exactly where I got my C's. I got my C's in, I was very good at math until I got to AB Calc or BC Calc. I think it was BC Calc. Oh, I didn't understand. Well, I was very good at algebra, but once I got to calculus, that was rough. So that's one of my C's. And then I was not very good, I'm afraid I'm not very good at learning other languages. So my other bad grades were in French and Spanish. I kept trying to master those. No, I never got an F. I've never gotten an F. And all of my other grades were mostly in the A range. Although I went to one of those schools where also your behavior in class was a big part of your grade. It was beautiful, man. I had one chemistry class where the teacher actually didn't do a very good job. We were taking side note, we were taking the AP exam, and during the proctor left the room, and one of the people in the class stood up and said, "Does anybody know any of the answers on this exam?" And we were all like, "No, we have no idea what any of the answers were." So that was the teacher's fault. But I guess also maybe the teacher didn't want to get in trouble, so she gave us all A minuses, even though we couldn't answer a single question on the chemistry AP exam. So we were like, "We'll take it." Some of my grades were, I think, influenced by my being very nice to my teachers and I participated a lot in class. I have to tell you, just like today, I sparked a lot of debates, so I'm used to it. I remember in one English class, nobody wanted to say anything, and I felt bad for my English professor or English teacher. So I decided to make a comment about what we had been reading. Everyone in the class immediately disagreed with me, and they were like, "Oh, let me tell you why I think that's wrong." So everybody started finally jumping in and talking because of my start statement, I started it all off, and I wanted to try and defend my position, but my teacher was so happy that everybody was joining in that she was like, no, let's just let everybody else talk. And I was like, what the hell? This has just become like complaining about my comment. And so I actually thought to myself, that's the last time I helped this teacher out by getting people to start talking in class. It's like, I'm not doing this again. But yeah, so I'm used to it. So I guess, I mean, I've been starting, let's just say, intense conversations for a very long time. And I just honestly was sharing my honest thoughts about the book. But I have to tell you, I have realized that I have a different thought process than a lot of people, and I often have like a different perspective. So while that makes my takes unique and interesting, I sometimes do find myself at odds with what other people are thinking. And so I know that that's true. I don't even remember what book it was, Chico. So I just know that that's a part of like my dynamic, and so it doesn't bother me. Like sometimes I wish people wouldn't be so horrible, but I'm just like, I understand that's a part of my dynamic, and like it's something I can't control because I'm just sharing my honest opinion. So that's what it is. But yeah, so yes, in many ways, that's just some of the lore of, when I look back sometimes at my high school and school experiences, I see things that actually ended up influencing things that I do today, which I find fascinating. All right, so anyway. All right, now let's talk box office, okay? So none of this is going to mean crap if Deadpool and Wolverine makes a lot of money. So let's talk about what's going on. So this is the prediction that Deadline has dropped. This new thing is they like to drop the worldwide number. I do believe, honestly, that we're becoming a more global marketplace, and we have been for a while now. If you look back, even to the 90s, global box office wasn't a thing, or at least it wasn't reported the way that it is today. But it's become a very big deal, and obviously we talk about domestic numbers when we talk about openings, but when we talk about totals, then we switch over to worldwide. That's usually the way the conversation goes. But also, it makes a movie look better. So they're saying, 360, but this is for a global opening, as you can see. But what that really means, as some of you have already said, it means they're saying it's going to be a 160 to a 170 domestic opening probably for Deadpool and Wolverine. That's where they're currently predicting the film will land. All it has to do, as I said on Movie Math on Sunday, is beat out the original Wolverine, which is currently the highest opening R-rated film of all time at 132. And that seems to me pretty easy to do. But here's something that's very interesting to me. They said that as of last Friday, the advanced ticket sales were only $35 million. Isn't that amazing that that's the kind of walk-up business that that you're dealing with? That to me is incredible. I mean, maybe there'll be a flurry of last-minute ticket buying. Let me do a poll. I know you guys like a poll. Let's ask what's going on with your tickets. Do you have Deadpool and Wolverine tickets yet? Yes, I've had them for a long time. And then, yes, just got them recently. Then getting them last minute, and then not seeing in theaters. You're missing out if you're not going to see it in theaters. You should see it at least once. It's quite the experience. Look, Mish is already getting ready to go back and see it a second time the same weekend. All right, so by the way, only members can comment, but anybody who's watching can vote in the poll. You just have to click on it and you can vote. But yeah, only $35 million had been sold this far in advance. That's so much last-minute ticket sales. I mean, they rarely tell us the number of advanced ticket sales. They'll say it's bigger than this movie or this so far for this year, but we rarely get the actual number. So for me, that's fascinating, especially because I've seen a lot of theaters that are pretty booked already. But that just means there's so many tickets left on the table. I think particularly probably in the middle of the country. I think in the big movie-going cities, they sell out fast, particularly for the premium screens. Like, for instance, I sometimes like to look at New Jersey. The Riverside Square dine-in theater, which has recliners and a Dolby screen, is pretty much booked. However, if you go to the Garden State Plaza movie theater, which is the real Wild West, I actually stopped going there because the last time I went there, someone was throwing cotton candy during the movie, and it fell on me and my friends, and we were like, what the hell just landed on us? It freaked us out, ruined the movie. It was for Beauty and the Beast, the live-action movie, and I've never gone back to that theater after that. It was so bad. I was like, they're throwing stuff at that theater. I'm not going back there. Thanks, Sean Z. So, but anyway, that theater, while its premium screens are pretty much booked, its Dolby and its IMAX, it has so many seats available left for the regular big screens. Marco, I'm so glad the peanut M&Ms were a good suggestion. I'm going to see it again this weekend myself. I'm getting the peanut M&Ms. Somebody suggested I put them in the popcorn. I've only ever put plain M&Ms in popcorn, but I'm curious with this idea. Will it be too much? But yet this person recommended it so strongly. I feel like I have to try it. All right, so anyway. But the 35 million number is also very interesting because they said that's 30% tracking behind pre-sales for Doctor Strange 2, which opened at 187. So that's like, what? But then Wakanda Forever, it's only 5% behind that, and that still managed to open at 181. So it's still in there. It's still in there. But let me close the poll so I can see what you guys are doing, because then I want to talk about Smart Girl. The reviews are out. Let's see here. They came out yesterday, including my own. Do you have Deadpool and Wolverine tickets yet? 31% of you, sure enough, are getting them last minute. You're just going to walk right up to the theater. How I envy you that you can do that. I've got to buy my tickets as soon as they go on sale, or like I can't go. 27% of you have had them for a very long time, however, and 23% of you got them recently, whereas 17% of you, which is scary, are not planning to see it in theaters. But yeah, so 31%, the biggest group of you walking up at the last minute, though, is interesting to me. All right, so other recent numbers for us to look at. The Marvels, the previous couple of Marvel movies. The Marvels opened at 46.1, which of course was a wake-up call for the franchise. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, though, opened at 118, although still got close to $1 billion because it had very long legs. And Ant-Man Quantumania, I forgot my water, also opened at just a little bit above 100 with 106. So, I feel as long as Deadpool and Wolverine tops the other Deadpool movies, that's all it needs to do. I don't care if it's at 135. Just as long as it's the biggest Deadpool opening of all time and the biggest R-rated opening of all time. That's all that matters. And that is doable. Inside Out 2 opened with 152. I think 152 or 154, but around 150 this year. Barbie did 162, although these movies all are not rated R. 162 last year, although Spider-Man No Way Home opened at 260. Oh, that's beautiful. There's no way that this is going to happen. But as I said, I just want it to open bigger than the last Deadpool, and therefore making it the biggest R-rated film of all time. Will the Rotten Tomatoes score hurt the film? As long as it stays in the 80s, no, I do not think that it will. But I'm curious to see what happens. I wonder if the anti-Disney movement coming off of The Acolyte, I'm going to put that in my notes for movie math. Will coming after The Acolyte be an issue? That would be fascinating. I mean, I didn't like The Acolyte when it was done, but I mean, it didn't turn me evil. But yeah, so, I do have some concern, what that's going to spell for Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, it's the franchise is not exactly in a position of strength. Actually, coming off of the Marvels and Secret Invasion, it is not, it's not in a good space. But I think, I feel this movie brings it back, and I'm excited for my spoiler coverage to start tomorrow late in the day. I don't want to ruin the movie for, let me just say, if you're seeing the movie in North America, when you get out of your screening, the spoiler review will be waiting for you. But yeah, you can check out my non-spoiler review right now. I worked super hard to make sure it had no spoilers in it, and I was very pleased that everybody agreed that I got it right. 'Cause sometimes people feel that I hinted stuff, and this time, no spoilers. It's beautiful. I was very proud of myself. All right, does anybody have any questions about this story before we move on to the next two? Marduk, I would agree. Secret Invasion was a real low point. That was the lowest point for me, for Marvel. Danny says, Grace, what is your box office prediction? The only thing I'm willing to predict is that it will top Deadpool, the first Deadpool. It might be in the 140s, but I don't care. Oh, guys, thank you for the kind words. Ben says, I literally just arrived home from watching it. It was so much fun. Hope everyone can avoid spoilers. Exactly. I think it's really important, and I feel bad that I've seen it ruined for a number of you. I blocked a couple of words before this stream started. One of you suggested I do that, but just still be careful. I'm glad that for the most part, most people are honoring, not spoiling the movie. Lloyd, I think Deadpool and Wolverine will destroy Twisters. Sibs, I'll be very careful with my poster frames as well. Very, very careful. Mika says that he feels that fans are starting to feel the desperation from Feige and Sean Levy in their press interviews. That's an interesting idea. I mean, I haven't seen that. I do think Feige has stepped back. I tried to find a picture of him on the red carpet at the premiere, a solo picture where he wasn't doing an interview. And oddly, I could not find one when I was doing my review yesterday. I thought that was very bizarre. Let's see here. Owen says, I've blocked so many words on Twitter like I did for No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness. Good for you. Oh, Lawson, that's so generous of you. Thank you so much, Lawson. I appreciate everyone's generosity, whether you're gifting 1 membership or 20 like Lawson. But that is very special of you, Lawson, for you to do that for so many people. Carmelo, Gigi Hadid is not in the movie. I don't know why she was there, but, I think she's I think she's friends with Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively. Blair Wraith says, some people on YouTube have already started leaking clips. Yeah, YouTube, I don't understand why Disney isn't all over this, I don't understand why this is a thing that happens now. I find it very bizarre that you can put up a full scene of a movie and it stays up for hours. I don't understand why they wouldn't hire an army of interns to just scour the internet and be like, I found it, And I mean, they couldn't get it off of Twitter because they're at war with Elon Musk. Elon Musk is probably sitting there uploading them himself. But yeah. Sam says, I made a 4-hour journey today to see the movie the minute it opens. Only an hour to go until my midnight screening. Sam, I hope you have a great time. That sounds wonderful. And Future Movie Actor says, the Deadpool name could be a big help. Sean Levy is overshadowing it for me partially, though. Really, why? I think now that I've seen the film, I think he did an excellent job directing it. Nacho says, I'm not telling you anything about the movie. Dad Boy says, if the cinema score is at least an A, do you think it'll perform how we're hoping it will be? As for cinema score, I just want it to be a B+. I don't care if it's not even an A-. If it's anything below a B+, that's going to be serious problems for the movie. It would be disastrous. Lou says, watched it yesterday in Paris. More fun than the rest of the MCU movies, but still not that good. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't like it, Lou. Blair says, some people on YouTube, that's right, very, very careful on YouTube. Let's see, did I miss somebody else's comment? Paul says, people who only pick one movie might pick Twisters. Maybe, I think, but, I mean, we'll see. Oh, is Sean Levy supportive of Israel? Well, I mean, you can understand, Is he aggressively supportive, Oh, and apparently watch that on TikTok, Josh says. Hey, Christian B, welcome back. My review says, Grace, you're a mensch and an amazing person. That's so sweet of you. Thank you. That's you, Jack, right? That's very nice of you. Dat Boy says, if the cinema score is at least an A, do you think it will perform how we're hoping with $1 billion? I gotta tell you, I don't know if it's gonna get $1 billion anymore. Based on this initial reaction from the critics, I'm a little nervous. It's shaken my confidence a little bit. But again, I just needed to do better than the previous Deadpool movies, which both here I have it. I didn't load it up. That's what I get. Let me load it up. All right, there it is. Hold on, I see that. Bug, thank you for gifting those 5 memberships. That's very sweet of you. All right. Brooke says, if this bombs, should Kevin be fired? Well, it's really Ryan Reynolds' baby, right? No, I mean, I think Kevin Feige at least has through the next 2 Avengers movies, I think he has just so much goodwill from all the money that he's made for Disney. I think we should focus on the Kathleen Kennedy situation first because those things are not doing well. Steve says Deadpool definitely seems like the strongest movie of the summer season so far. Yeah, I agree. It's a weak year. Like when you look at last year versus this year, it's really off. All right, so you can see that the last two Deadpool movies did close to a little under 800 million. So if Deadpool and Wolverine can just make 800 million plus, I would be thrilled. Okay? I mean, it would be not Joker made $1 billion, but all I need is it for it to be more successful than the previous Deadpool movies. That's all I needed to do. That's all I care about. Thank you, Not Modern Art. It's so nice to see you. That's all that I care about. I said in my review yesterday, I think people would watch this thing multiple times. So I'm really perplexed as to this critic reaction. I would have expected a high 80s critic score, if not in the low 90s. I loved it so much, although I am a major X-Men fan. So that I think being an X-Men fan might influence people a little bit. So if you're a major X-Men fan, get ready to just go absolutely over the moon for this film. Brooke, you really are after Kevin Feige there. I think let's just hold off on calling for people to be fired until we actually have a bomb. Future movie actor says Logan did over $619 million worldwide. That's true. That was also an R-rated movie. It's got to do better than that. Lou says you thought it was too reliant on cameos and weak story. I didn't feel that way, but I certainly respect your comment. And then Colby says, I was curious if you think Deadpool 3 has genuine pathos and emotion. Oh, I definitely think that it did. I just filmed my spoiler review before this, and I talked a lot about the emotion in the film. Wandering Seth says, as an X-Men fan, I got all the comic book references in the film. Right? Oh, it was amazing. But critics who don't know the comics might have found it less accessible. Yeah, I talk about it in my spoiler review, but I'll just say it here too, I guess. It reminded me of what happened with me in Super Mario, where I was like, what? And then Super Mario fans were like, are you insane? And I guess it's like the reversal of that. Whereas a Wolverine and X-Men comic book fan, I'm like, the fact that it just had like that in it makes the movie for me. I mean, I genuinely like the movie, but that like really helped. Hey, Paul, let's be careful. I don't want to have a situation where we have any spoilers. Vituli, I'm sorry if I missed your super chat. Will it make money in China? I think it's getting released there. I hope that it does. Hold on one second. Poke is just guessing. Poke, uncool. Don't make me put you in a timeout, Poke. I will. All right. Let's go to the next story. All right. Tyler, I talked about how R-rated the movie is in my review. Oh, thanks, Tony Stank. Thanks again. Nice to see you. It's very R-rated. Okay. So let's go to the next story of the day. Let's get out of here. We're getting too close to Spoiler Town. All right. Boop. Okay, here we go. 1 second. Inside Out 2. Woohoo! It did it. I told you it would do it on Movie Math on Sunday, and sure enough, it has. So Inside Out 2, Disney, these are their two movies that we're discussing. They're doing very nicely. And Inside Out 2 did surpass Frozen 2 to become the highest grossing animated film of all time. Let's look at the list, shall we? Hold on, I loaded it up here. Here we go. Hello. Okay. So let me get my little arrow out. Whee! Okay, there's Inside Out 2. Now it's hey JD. Now it's highlighted because it's still playing. You know, that's why the numbers highlights it in the list. So let's see here. All right, so Inside Out 2 is right there. It just passed Frozen 2. Now, a lot of people are like, what about The Lion King, Grace? Even though that says it's live action, it's entirely CGI and is technically an animated movie. Well, then a lot of these would be animated movies, basically, right? I mean, think how often Spider-Man is totally animated. The Lion King does not count. The Lion King, is basically, VFX. It's live action VFX. It's not animation. It doesn't have animators working on it, so it doesn't work. So that's why it does not count. Anyway, So Inside Out 2 has surpassed Frozen 2. Look at Barbie there. Oh, I love you, Barbie. You don't get no respect. All right, so look, there's Inside Out 2. All right. And then there's, oh, that's right, future movie actor, photorealistic. That's probably the way, and Elliot says that as well. Photorealistic animation does not count, apparently, and I agree with that. All right, so yeah, so these movies, okay, have done, as you can see, that's where they are. It's still not in the top 10 of all time, but, you know, Inside Out 2 is far from done. Look at this, by the way, though, 600 million domestic. Oh, baby. And then also, here's something funny here that's very funny. You guys can agree to disagree all you want, but these are the rules that Hollywood made up. Okay? Like, if you want to play their game, this is the rules. All right, so anyway, where'd it go? Oh, yeah, look at this. Furious 7 only made 353 million domestic, but yet it's still the 11th highest grossing movie of all time because it made over $1 billion overseas. I think that's fantastic. I think that's just so indicative of that franchise. All right, so what did I want to say? So the other thing I want to tell you is that, so first off, I'll show you a couple other animated movies in a moment. But first off, Pixar released this beautiful little post, and they said they were just so happy to get all the love. I don't know why it's hand-drawn. I'm like, aren't you a computer animation company? Didn't you know this was coming? I mean, you saw your movie climbing up the ranks. I mean, we all knew this was going to happen on Sunday. You can't give me some digital animation? But here's this little sketch. And Kelsey Mann, who's actually a guy, by the way, is the director. This is actually his first directing gig at Pixar. He's been there for a very long time, but that is his very first directing gig. And then Mark Nielsen is the producer. I actually ended up loving this movie. I absolutely adored it, particularly because I relate so much to anxiety, and I think she's adorable. You know, somebody who said that? Ben 10 said, time to announce Inside Out 3. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, although I would want to see her be a full-grown adult at that point. And I think that's actually a great idea. After this movie, I'd be like all in. I'd be like, let's do it! That's funny, Slade, that you said your friends in France love the Fast and Furious movies. And Ben 10, by the way, is from France, right? So that's funny that you guys' comments came in together. All right, so yeah, so very, very nice. But then Disney Animation answered with their own post and their own last-minute sketch. I'm like, are you guys professional artists? And they're like, shut up. All right, so anyway, here's their sketch with Frozen 2 passing the torch to the characters from Inside Out 2. And I love all the love that Anxiety is getting. She's my girl. You like the animation? Oh, iReady says this is how the animation starts. Well, that's very nice. But I don't want any of this animation like for a shirt or anything. Don't worry, Chico. Elsa and Anna are returning soon. Oh, that's right, Vituli. We have Zootopia 2 coming, Frozen 3 and 4, Toy Story 5. I don't know where the heck Incredibles 3 is. Come on, Brad Bird. Get back in here. Sorry. But yeah. So I think this is very nice. It's nice to see them being friendly with each other. You know, the passing of the torch is always one of the nice things to see, particularly when it's friendly fire between, you know, divisions at the same studio. Same thing when Avengers and Avatar were playing musical chairs with the box office numbers. And, you know, once Avatar was purchased by Disney, James Cameron became a lot more polite, which is always very funny. So let's go back to this all-time list. I actually have the top 25 in case you were wondering about other animated movies. So let me get the arrow back. So there's Inside Out 2 and Frozen at numbers 13 and 14. Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario is right below. It's 17. So, and that's like one of the only non-Disney lists. That's right, Mystic. Shrek 5. If they stick the landing, it could do really well. How high do I think Inside Out 2 can go, Jim? It's still going extremely well. I could see it maybe cracking the top 10. I don't see it getting much higher than that, but I think it has a small chance that it could break the top 10. especially because there are not any more animated movies coming out until Transformers 1 in September. All right. Then anyway, if you go down here, you've got the first Frozen, so successful. Beauty and the Beast, Incredibles 2, and then The Incredibles 2. So those are your other movies. So that's nice. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, we're talking about all these Disney sequels. In this list of all-time movies, only 4 are non-sequels or non-franchise films, or at least were the start of a franchise. That, to me, is really, really interesting. But Jack says Brad Bird is still furious from Disney. They cut a year from his production schedule and because with Toy Story 4. Suck it up, Brad Bird. He's not doing anything else. I mean, Hollywood's a tough business. People are mean. Get over it. All right. So anyway, that's what I would say if I were talking to him. I'd be like, suck it up. Do it for the fans. But anyway, only 4 movies, let me get my arrow back, are not sequels or franchise continuations. The first, Avatar, 1, Titanic, 2, Barbie, so proud, 3, and then there was one more. What was it? Super Mario Brothers. That's the 4th. But 2 of those, Barbie and Super Mario, are based on huge IP. And then also Titanic, of course, is a major historical event. So that always helps. People do love disaster movies. And then when you put a disaster movie together with a romance, how ironic that we're about to talk about Twisters and its romance. But then, Avatar had 2 films, but I'm talking about the first Avatar, Cowboy Kush. And that was what makes the first Avatar movie. No, the first Avengers was not the first Marvel movie. It would have to be Iron Man would have to be in here to count as that. It would have to be the first one. But anyway, that's what makes, I think, Avatar so special. Avatar came out of nowhere, based off of nothing. It's still the highest grossing film of all time with $3 billion. And they got me on, just like with Inside Out, the sequels got me on board. I didn't like either of those first 2 movies. I'm glad you guys like my peeking around. I know you like to still see me. Okay. All right, so does anybody have any questions about this story before we go to The Twister's Kiss, which is a surprisingly strong story? Nikki says, so why not Frozen? Oh, yeah, I guess Frozen counts as well. You're right, guys. So it's 5 movies. My bad. Danny liked Inside Out 1 better. A lot of people like Inside Out 1. But I don't like my emotions, as you know. All right, you guys don't seem to have any questions about this. Pretty straightforward. All right, let me ask you. I'll ask you a question, and you can just write it in the comments. What sequel from Disney are you the most excited about? Frozen 3, Toy Story 5, Incredibles 3 potentially, Zootopia 2, or none like Nacho. I'm the most excited about Zootopia 2. Oh, that's right, Moana 2, Brandon, that's right. I would be most excited about Incredibles 3 if it were on the schedule, but of things that are actually on the schedule for me, it would be Zootopia 2. I love me some Jason Bateman. I love his sardonic wit. Look at the love for Incredibles 3. Brad Bird, how can you deny us? Chica wants a Disney princess crossover movie. I don't know. After people don't like the meta-ness of Deadpool and Wolverine, I'd be a little nervous. But I would like to see that as myself. I thought that was a lot of fun in Wreck-It Ralph 2, even though Wreck-It Ralph 2 itself was not good. Zunigator would argue that Avatar was based on Fern Gully. Well, I'm not saying it didn't rip anything off, but that was not an IP that it built off of. Because like Fern Gully might be a cult classic, but certainly was not a hugely successful movie. All right, let's go to the next story of the last story of the day, and then we'll get to the Q&A. Story number 3. Boom, baby. All right, The Twister's Kiss. The Twister's Kiss. This movie hasn't even been out for a full week yet, and already this is what the conversation has become, which I find hilarious because I'm not totally invested in the movie. But when we just talked about Titanic, about combining an adventure film like a disaster movie and a romance, I was like, maybe there was a method to their madness. Because the comparison that I wanted to make was Jurassic Park, which, hold on, I have the pictures loaded up. Jurassic Park didn't have any romance in it. Sure, Laura Dern and Sam Neill were a couple, but they were arguing about whether or not they should have kids. So it was really the B storyline in many ways was Sam Neill realizing that his kid would probably be a lot like him, like Richard Attenborough's grandson or whatever, and, he would probably get along with him very well. But then, of course, Jeff Goldblum did take his shirt off. But it was all, but they kept it in the movie. So somebody said, who said that? How did the kiss leak? Because back in the day, nobody would ever know that this stuff had been cut until years later on like a DVD extras or something. But people were filming when they were filming on location at the airport in Oklahoma. And somebody filmed them filming this kiss. So when the movie came out, everybody was like, look what they took from us. So that was what was going around on the internet. And that's right, Michael Macenas. Somebody who on the press tour picked up on it and asked them directly and said, we saw this kiss on social media. Where is it? And then Glenn Powell stoked the flame by saying, oh, not only was there indeed a kiss at the end of the movie, but Steven Spielberg is the one who cut it. And everybody was like, what? So this has really taken on this life, of everybody being like, why isn't there a kiss in the movie? Now, Steven Spielberg's argument, okay, you guys think Glenn Powell leaked it? I hope he didn't, because I don't think that anybody would be pleased with him. I don't believe that he did, because he didn't film that. All right, so anyway, Steven Spielberg said that he felt that it was not what the movie was about, that he didn't want to make the ending not be that Kate had conquered her fears and was back to chasing tornadoes, but that she got the guy. So I can understand that reasoning. And also Isaac Lee Chung, who directed the film, said that it had been divisive in test screening. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Now, one of the things that I had when I was crafting my discussion about this was that there's a movie that I've seen that really bothered me, that there wasn't a kiss at the end of it, and that was My Fair Lady. I love My Fair Lady, but every time I watch the movie, which is every couple of years, I am furious that there's no kiss at the end. And so I can imagine that some people might feel that the same way, being like, oh, you ruined it. Because for me, I was like, I didn't understand if their relationship was going to change or not. I was like, with Henry Higgins, I was like, does he like Eliza Doolittle or not? Or are they going to go back to her just kind of being like this young lady he hangs out with? So I kind of needed that confirmation. But I felt in Twisters, the way they had it, where he ran after her, and they decided to get dinner at the airport because her flight was delayed due to bad weather. I could see that I thought the romance was successful, so I thought it was fine. However, this really, to me, was very interesting because the Hollywood Reporter just did a big article on this. I think they go a little too far. They're like, are we becoming too chaste? And I'm like, have you heard of a little show called Bridgerton? But anyway, somebody said, Glenn Powell, they had like this expert they were talking to. And the expert, I couldn't believe an expert said this. I'm like, what exactly are you an expert in? He said, well, Glenn Powell didn't even take his shirt off in the movie. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about demanding that Glenn Powell take his shirt off in this film. However, let me tell you that when I went to see the movie again with friends and family, my audience was definitely looking for Glenn Powell to take his shirt off. When he was in the rain, there was like a rain, the rain sequence, and Glenn Powell comes out and he's getting all wet in his shirt. My audience had the biggest reaction of the screening. Far bigger than for any of the tornadoes. Although there was one kill where a guy in front of me was pretty excited about it. I was like, wow, he really liked that person getting sucked into the tornado. But wow, did my audience love the wet shirt on Glenn Powell. And in fact, I was there with my dad, and I had to explain to my dad. My dad goes, why is everybody hooting and hollering? And I was like, well, Father, they are disappointed, but yet also happy that Glenn Powell has his shirt getting wet. And my dad was like, oh. That's really funny. So my dad just had not gotten it, so I thought that was funny. But I will do a poll as to why you saw Twisters. That's a good, because that's my big question here. Why did you go to see Twisters? The Tornado. The Tornadoes. Glenn Powell. Then other reasons. And then haven't seen it. All right, again, anyone who's watching can vote in the poll. So yeah, so I went for the Tornadoes, okay? So I was like, get this romance out of my movie. I didn't like the romance in the film. I thought it took away valuable screen time from the Tornadoes. However, if you went to see this movie because you think Glenn Powell is hot, well, then I can understand why you would be upset that there was no kiss at the end of the movie. So was it a mistake to cast a really hot guy in Twisters? Because it at the very least divides what your audience wants out of the movie. Because, you know, Sam Neill, he is certainly attractive, but like no one's like, oh, is Sam Neill gonna get caught in the rain? You know, like Sam Neill is just like a really kind, sweet dude that you're like, I like that relationship for you. But nobody's like, let's wait and see if he takes his shirt off. So that to me is like fascinating. Just real, and say, you know, Bill Paxton, that's a good point, Dane. Bill Paxton, again, really nice guy. You'd love to date him, but you know, he's not hot. So I just, you know, future movie actor says it wasn't Spielberg's call, where Glenn Powell blamed it on Steven Spielberg. That's the narrative that has taken shape. Performing artist says the kiss issue was similar for Beauty and the Beast. Which one? They kiss in the animated one. Did they not kiss in the live action one? They probably didn't, now that I think about it. I don't care. I was just having fun with Gaston and the production design. But yeah, so yeah, that's how I feel. I think this to me was very eye-opening in a different way than I think the conversation is currently going. To me, it was if you cast a really hot guy or a hot guy in your movie whose whole appeal is that audiences think he's hot, well, then you better deliver on that. You know, I'd be like, maybe you should take your shirt off. And if Glenn Powell is like, how dare you? I'd be like, well, Glenn Powell, I'm not the one that, you know, decided to make yourself famous by being hot. You know, if you go down that road, okay, that's what you got, you know, that's what the people want, is Joker and Harley Quinn say. So let's see here. I think, wasn't there kissing in Barbie? Also, Barbie was very much, Barbie had lots of eye candy anyway and lots of talk about that kind of stuff. But remember, they didn't even know why Ken would spend the night at Barbie's house, because they were toys, and they only had the knowledge of a child about those things, which was a very clever take on Greta Gerwig's part. Maruna says, I remember being dragged to Pompeii because my girlfriends wanted to see Kit Harington with his shirt off. Hilarious. I wish more people had wanted to see that. It's certainly the producers do, Maruna, because that movie didn't do very well. Dancing Dog 60 says, I'm Team Ramos, so I'm glad that it was cut. Yeah, I don't know. Not only was there a romance in this movie, but there was a freaking love triangle. It wasn't 3 hours long, though, like Titanic. So maybe that was the issue. Future movie actor says, I want to see it for both the first one and Daisy Edgar Jones. Also, I get why it wasn't there. Great kiss, so bummed it's not in there. Oh, is it a particularly good kiss? It just seems pretty generic to me. Manpreet says, my main takeaway from Twisters was how much I didn't realize I just saw the new Superman. That's funny. Yeah, I was whispering to the people I was with. I was like, you see that really tall guy? That's the new Superman. What do you think? They thought he was okay. They didn't love him, but they thought he was fine. Let's see here. Let me close the poll. I think we're ready for the Q&A. Fascinating, though. So, 61% of you haven't seen it. Oh, my God. Oh, let's see. Maybe it'll either keep doing really well this weekend, or it's going to drop like a rock and everyone's going to go watch it on digital. 21% of you went for the Tornadoes, and only 10% of you, at least here, went for Glenn Powell. But you're a vocal 10%. And you know, also, I guess that also brings up the conversation of how does social media warp the conversation, right? Like, We've seen it so many times. Something's huge on social media or not big on social media, and then it just blows up. Like Inside Out 2. Nobody wanted to talk about Inside Out 2 on any social media site. Huge movie. So that's very interesting to me. This kiss is like the DC of social media. Future movie actor says, think if there's enough chatter, they'll add it back in. That's funny. They'll do the kiss cut on the Blu-ray or the digital release. That would be funny. I think that would actually, I laugh, but yet the business hat, I put my business hat on and I go, maybe I should do a kiss cut. It would certainly get me a lot of publicity in the media. I would do that. I would totally do the kiss cut on digital. When this drops on digital, I'd say, release the kiss cut. And I'd have everybody talking about it and tweeting and Google. I think that's a great idea. Ha-ha! I'm so happy about it. I love it. Okay. Oh, Little Baby Pizza. You're going to see it tonight. I'm sorry. There's no kiss on it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if we ruined it a little bit for you there. Bug says, Twisters for me was a ton of fun. Third act was so fun. Glenn Powell and the rest of the cast were fun. Very good movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it so much. I thought it was a little weak. I had a better time seeing it the second time with my audience because they were more engaged. But I still much prefer the first film. To me, the tornadoes, I still, again, I don't want to ruin anything for the people seeing it this evening. But I will say that so often when I saw the tornadoes, I was like, that's just a CGI cloud, man. And that really bothered me. If you see the original film, the tornadoes are actually quite impressive. And also CGI from the 90s. Thank you very much. Bye, Danny. All right, let's do the Q&A. All right, 10 minutes Q&A. It is 6:16. That means I will answer your questions until 6:26. Let's see here. Jico says, what are your thoughts on Descendants Rise of Red hitting 6 million on Disney Plus in 3 days? I think you're going to get another Descendants movie. Jack252 says, I want some pizza bagels, but so much sodium. I feel your pain. Sodium's a real bummer, though. So is there anything else that would make you also happy? Paul says, Grace, so happy to finally be in the members club after watching you forever. Oh, yay, Paul. I'm so glad you got in. Big fan here from Bonnie, Scotland. Excited to see Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow night and for the potential goodies coming from San Diego Comic-Con. Welcome, Paul. I love your comment. Stardust says, do you consider yourself a perfectionist? To a point. Like, I'm not a fanatic, but I would like things to be as nice as possible and as good as possible. Yes, Slade, Sandman 2 is still happening, and in fact, they just cast a number of actors for it, including the actor who plays Alicent's brother on House of the Dragon. He is going to be there, Loki. Oliver, I missed your super chat. Let me go back and find it. YouTube skips me ahead, man. Oh, wow, the girls really do like Glenn Powell, but I don't think... Oh, you don't think the LGBT community likes Glenn Powell? Really? That would be interesting. I would think he would have fans there. Let's see here. Steve says, Grace, do you think that Neve Campbell doing Scream 7 is a bad idea? I think it depends on how good the movie actually turns out and how long it takes. The longer it takes them to make Scream 7, the better. Devin, I don't believe that they are going to be airing the Marvels panel online. They might be. I think they're airing some of the Disney D23 panels this year online, but you're just going to have to follow social media and coverage to know what happens and is announced at the panel. Polly, I'm sorry you retracted your message there. Let's see here. Hey, Michael says, have you ever thought of doing these quick first reaction out of the theater vids? They're so short, I worry that it'll undercut my review, to be honest with you. There's not a lot of revenue in a video that short. So I worry that, why would you watch my review if you already heard my opinion out of the theater? So that's one of the main reasons I haven't made that type of video. Chris says, Glenn Powell, LGBT love comment. That's great, Chris. We see a lot of LGBT love for Glenn Powell. He's loved by all. Hey, nobody. Welcome back. Vincent says, what is something from Marvel that you are looking forward to potentially being released at San Diego Comic-Con? As I said, I would really like to see some clarification on what's going on with the Avengers movies now. Brandon says, are you enjoying your bucket? I lost one of Wolverine's ears. I have to tell you, I don't really want to have that in my house. But I have a friend who wants it, so I'm saving it. I'm going to bring it over to them. And I told them, I said, one of his Wolverine's ears fell off, but you can't really tell, and you can just pretend he got in a fight. Polly says, I'm going to publish my first novel this Saturday. It's a book about superheroes from Brazil, including a trans girl like Polly. That's wonderful. Good luck, Polly. Or as they say, break a leg. Good for you for not only writing it, but getting your work out there. Obed says, Grace, would you ever consider doing a meet and greet for the BTT community? I get a little worried about safety, Obed, so it would have to be in an event that had security already. Maybe someday. Would love to be able to meet some of you, but as particularly a woman creator, I do worry about that a little bit, about security and safety. Elliot says, hey Grace, fun question. Which Alfred Hitchcock film do you see yourself in? I personally see myself in either Rear Window or The Man Who Knew Too Much. Both great movies, Elliot. Great choices. As you know, Rear Window is my favorite. I recently rewatched it again on 4th of July. Fabulous film. I think I like, my favorites are that film and How to Catch a Thief. Cole says, do you think Deadpool and Wolverine will break Joker's record? Or do you think Joker 2 will do that? I don't know if either one will do it, to be honest with you. I'm a little nervous about them. I think we're in a different space. I think the fandom is a lot more toxic and aggressive. I think there are fans who sadly who are hoping to hate stuff and to see it fail, and that's unfortunate. You guys want a New York Comic-Con panel? That's a fun idea. Maybe someday. Terry, I like parts of North by Northwest. Obviously, the music is iconic. I like the opening scenes in New York City. Those are fun. That's a good movie as well. You can't go wrong with Alfred Hitchcock. I confess, as a shadow of a doubt, Strangers on a Train, anything that Alfred Hitchcock, except for some of his later movies, Trouble with Harry, Frenzy, but everything else, you just can't go wrong with his work. Let's see here. MJM, I'm not going to Comic-Con. I don't go to Comic-Con because it's easier actually for me to cover it right here. Oh, 50 Pence, Rope is a great movie. Alex Day says, how do you feel about this cut for Rebel Moon? Feels like a bad PR stunt to me. It is weird to lean so much into the movies because they did not do well. But I guess, they already announced it, so they have to do it, or that would be embarrassing. Pearl Plum Sparkle says, Grace, what do you think about Amy Adams' new movie, Night Biatch? I had to edit it. It's from Searchlight, and it's probably going to be an Oscar contender? I don't know. I mean, I like Amy Adams, but this is a movie where she thinks she's a dog. At night, I guess? It seems really crazy to me. But you know what I'm most interested in? What kind of script like that could possibly get Amy Adams to sign on for it? Oh, it was your birthday, Ben 10? You're from France again, right? Bon anniversaire! Cole, I did see Presumed Innocent. I liked the courtroom drama scenes quite a bit. I thought that everybody did a great job in those. I thought that the family scenes dragged a little bit, and I didn't love the twist, actually. But I'm glad to see Apple having some kind of success because I really like most of their content. That's right, Austin Williams. Amy Adams doesn't exactly have a great track record these days. Paul says, should we read into there being so little new Gaga footage in the Joker trailer? It seems they reused a lot of the scenes from the first trailer. I don't think so. I think it was the same for new stuff for Joaquin. I'm glad. I like it when they don't show us too much of the movie. Diego, there's no cow in the new Twisters movie, which obviously many of us were disappointed in. Dane says, Grace, do you have high hopes for Nosferatu? I'm super intrigued, although Eggers can be a bit much sometimes. I think it's hilarious that it comes out for Christmas time. But I do like those kinds of stories, and I appreciate how hard Eggers goes with production design and historical accuracy. So I just want to see it for that reason. I don't like to share too much personal information, Ace Spence. Let's see here. Also, I don't really follow astronomy, so I actually don't even know off the top of my head. Thanks, Bleeding Rainbow, says that's funny. My husband and I make LGBT comics and have started a YouTube channel. Look at that, to spread some positivity to combat the toxicity in fandoms. I'm glad I was inspirational to you. That's very humbling. I appreciate that. What video software, like for streaming, or do you mean for like editing? For editing, I use Adobe. I use Adobe Premiere. And I'm live streaming on OBS. Haunted Autumn, that's true. There was an unusual amount of farting in his Viking movie. Is that in all of his films? Let's see here. Thanks, Kareem. Oh, one more minute, and then we'll do shout-outs. There was farting in the lighthouse in Northman? Well, there was in Northman, but the lighthouse had a lot of farting? What a weird calling card. Thanks, Yessie. I have a lot of content coming up. I don't know if I'm going to be making that specific video. I have maybe. Lord Baratheon, I did see that Kevin Feige's getting a star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Usually people get stars in the Hollywood Walk of Fame to help promote their upcoming projects. And I think that no matter what might be happening right now, I think that Kevin Feige 1,000% deserves to have a Hollywood Star of Fame. So I'm very happy for him. Your little brother Gabriel, congratulations. I'm so glad you got a job. Good for you for hanging in there. And I'm so glad your job search had a happy ending. Let's see. Let me see. Look at my videos that I want to make. Rank the X-Men movies. All right, I'll put a note down there. Maybe I'll make it. Okay. Oh, 6:27. Shout out time. Where are you? What are you doing? Just so I can say hi. Dane O'Leary is making chicken tacos in North Virginia. That sounds good. Matt is coming at you from work in Michigan on break having broccoli and cheese soup. Oh, I had potato soup the other day. It was delicious, even though it's freaking hot over here. Senior Lullaby is ending my busy workday and watching you in the background. Oh, I'm glad I can help you get through the home stretch there. Hi, Elise. Blair is trucking in Wyoming, and it's officially the most boring... sorry you're not having a good time in Wyoming, Blair. Nobody says hi from Minnesota, making lasagna. Ooh, that's impressive. Bon nuit, Ben 10. I always like saying goodnight to you. Nikki says, in bed, my kids and I caught COVID for the first time. Thanks for being a fun distraction. I'm sorry to hear that, but it's pretty light at this point. I don't know if you're taking Paxlovid or not, but I'm glad you guys are at least all able to be together. Sometimes with having COVID, you have to be isolated by yourself. So at the very least, you guys can, kind of like cheer each other on. And I'm glad I can help too. So feel better, everybody. Diego says, enjoying sunny San Diego. Just moved back after being in LA for 6 years. Oh, enjoy Comic-Con in a few days. It's going to be impossible to go to a restaurant. Trace is just chilling like a villain in Kansas City. And look, Bianca got a membership. Hi, Bianca in Michigan. Ace is also repping North Virginia. Danny Lopez says, hi, Grace. Greetings from Guatemala. About to finish my shift. Hi, Danny. Phil Layfield says, in Manchester, UK, with my Deadpool head cup and popcorn bucket waiting for the midnight showing in 30 minutes. That's right, Phil. You did the trek. You're there. It's happening. That's pretty exciting. I'm glad you got the popcorn bucket. Bye, Nick. 50 Pence says, I always seem to be doing laundry or about to do laundry when the live stream is on. That's awesome. My laundry sense must go off. Dancing Dog 60 says, in Boston, getting ready to pop popcorn and scroll through Netflix. That's a good place to scroll. No Deadpool and Wolverine spoilers there. Let's see here. Haunted Autumn says, being envious of Michael Macenas' Cajun pasta. Ooh, is Michael making Cajun pasta? Dread says, Chicago in the house. Love it. Well, Wandering Life says, in my apartment, cozy and warm on this rainy day in Ottawa. Aw, that sounds wonderful. It's very cozy when it's raining outside and you're inside. Mystic says, staying up late for a BTT live stream, excited for the weekend coverage. Aw, thanks, Mystic. It's going to be nuts for me. I get a little bit of a break Saturday during the day because Comic-Con, nothing's happening until the night. But yeah, that's fine. I love it. I love it. It's good. It's good. I love having this stuff to cover. And I have, August will be, I think, slower. So then I'll be like, why is nothing happening? Travis says, on my way home from a job interview in Agora Hills. Pray for me, Gracie. Yes, Travis. We'll be rooting for you. Fingers crossed. We send good karma your way. Ramonzilla is walking home from work. I pass the UN every day. Oh, that sounds lovely and picturesque. How nice. I think walking in New York City is one of the great joys in life. Let's see here. Maruna says, Grace, what did you wear for the Deadpool premiere? I wore a Deadpool making out with Harley Quinn t-shirt and got compliments at the cinema. I don't totally usually theme my my movie going outfits. I usually just theme for my videos, but I'll see if I have anything for Deadpool and Wolverine. D.A. Smith is also on the way home from work. Thanks, nobody. Let's see here. What's going on with iHeart Movies? I'm in Ohio trying to heal after twisting both my ankles last week. Oh no, and preparing for the newest episode of Big Brother. Both ankles, I agree. That's crazy. I'm sorry that happened to you. Let's see here. And then Jico says, feeling excited about seeing Deadpool and Wolverine tomorrow night, and I need to plan my D23 schedule. Oh, that sounds exciting. And then Wandering Seth says there was a guy fully dressed up as Deadpool and another in full comic Wolverine gear at the theater last night. That sounds amazing. That's the kind of stuff we want to see. That's the party we're talking about. And on that note, I better get back to editing my Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler review for tomorrow. So thank you for joining me for a very fun live stream. I had a great time with you as always, and there will be a live either tomorrow or Friday. Okay, everybody, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye.